The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the broadcast began. A towering Vorten overlord, adorned in glinting obsidian armor, stood on a dais, his voice cold and calculated. Behind him, 50,000 prisoners knelt in rows, bound and terrified. They came from dozens of conquered worlds, their only crime being resistance. The Vorten King's declaration echoed across the stars. This is the price of defiance. The execution was swift, merciless, and absolute. Streams of plasma erupted, snuffing out lives like candle flames. On Earth, billions sat frozen before their screens, horror turning to fury. Among them, Captain Jack McAllister clenched his fists, the scars of his past missions pale against the fresh rage rising in his chest. It's not just an attack, he muttered to himself. It's a challenge. In Washington, D.C., the response was immediate. The United Nations convened in an emergency session, but it was the United States that seized the mantle of leadership. Humanity's survival depended on action, not debate. President Walker appeared on global feeds, her voice resolute. We will not stand by as tyrants slaughter innocents. Humanity will act, and justice will prevail. Behind the scenes, preparations began for Operation Retribution. The mission needed the best Earth had to offer, and the roster reflected that resolve. Jack McAllister was the first name on the list. A decorated Air Force veteran, his years in combat had sharpened him into a natural leader. Jack had seen the cost of war, and though the mission's odds were slim, he couldn't refuse the call. Dr. Ethan Grayson was recruited next. A prodigy in physics and engineering, Ethan had spent his career developing experimental technologies for the military. His calm demeanor and sharp intellect hid a fierce loyalty to Earth's ideals. When asked to join, his only question was, "When do we leave?" Sergeant Mike Ramirez, a Marine with an unmatched survival record, brought grit and improvisation to the team. A natural problem solver, he was often described as the man who could build a tank from scrap metal if you gave him 5 minutes. Lieutenant Kevin Hawk Harper, the team's pilot, was a daredevil with a knack for turning impossible odds into stunning victories. With a wry smile and nerves of steel, he was ready to fly the USS Resolute, Earth's first experimental warp-capable vessel. Finally, Agent Will Carter rounded out the team. A CIA operative with years of experience in alien relations, Will had a reputation for thinking 10 steps ahead. His knowledge of Vorten culture would be vital to the mission's success. The central conflict was clear. The Vorten King had to answer for his crimes, not just for the 50,000 lives extinguished in a single broadcast, but for the millions more who suffered under his reign. However, Earth's technology lagged far behind the Vorten empires, forcing humanity to rely on strategy, adaptability, and courage. As the USS Resolute stood ready for departure, the team gathered for their final briefing. The vessel was a marvel of Earth's ingenuity, its hull reinforced with a new alloy, and its systems partially reverse-engineered from captured alien tech. It was a symbol of humanity's determination to rise above its limitations. In the war room, holograms displayed the Vorten Empire's vast territories. Agent Carter outlined the mission's risks. The Vorten King is no ordinary ruler, he began. He's maintained control over the galaxy's most powerful empire for centuries, thanks to advanced psychic technologies. Our objective is simple but dangerous. Infiltrate their capital planet, isolate the king, and eliminate him. Ramirez leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Simple? You're joking, right? Carter smirked. Simple doesn't mean easy, but it's the only way to destabilize their control and send a message that Earth isn't to be trifled with. Hawk chimed in. And here I thought I'd signed up for a nice, quiet exploration mission. Quiet isn't in our vocabulary, Jack said, his voice steady. This mission isn't about revenge. It's about showing the galaxy that we're not afraid to stand up for what's right. Ethan added, We'll need every edge we can get. I've been working on adapting some of our tech to mimic their energy systems. It's crude, but it might give us a fighting chance. With that, the team boarded the Resolute. Jack stood at the helm, watching Earth grow smaller on the view screen. Whatever happens out there, he said, we're fighting for more than ourselves. We're fighting for humanity's place in the stars. As the ship's engines roared to life and the warp drive engaged, the team braced for the unknown. They were heading into the heart of enemy territory, armed with little more than courage and ingenuity. Their mission was perilous, their chances uncertain, but they carried with them the unyielding spirit of humanity, a force no empire could predict or suppress. In the distance, the Vorten King watched another broadcast, unaware that 5 humans were coming to challenge his reign. The USS Resolute shuddered violently as it dropped out of warp near the fringes of Vorten space. The team staggered in their seats, alarms blaring as sparks flew from overloaded systems. Jack McAllister gripped the edge of his console, barking orders. Status report. Ethan Grayson's voice cut through the chaos. We've sustained critical damage to the warp drive. The energy fluctuations were stronger than expected. Translation. Ramirez growled, tightening his harness. We're stuck, Hawk Harper said grimly, scanning the controls. No warp drive means we're flying blind through enemy territory. Not an option, Jack snapped. Find us a safe landing zone. We'll make repairs planetside. The planet they chose was barren, a desolate wasteland marked by jagged mountains and storm-ridden skies. The Resolute landed heavily, its hull groaning in protest. The team disembarked cautiously, weapons at the ready. The air was thin, and the ground crunched beneath their boots like broken glass. Ethan immediately began assessing the ship's damage, setting up makeshift tools to stabilize the systems. Ramirez and Hawk scouted the area, their sharp eyes scanning for potential threats. Carter stayed close to Jack, his mind already turning over the problem of their predicament. This place screams ambush, Ramirez muttered, adjusting his rifle sights. It's our only option, Jack replied. We'll work fast and keep our heads low. Ethan, how long do you need? Hours, if we're lucky, Ethan said, wiping sweat from his brow. But that's assuming I can improvise with what we have. Improvisation quickly became the order of the day. The team scavenged components from the ship's wreckage and even the hostile environment around them. Ethan's ingenuity shone as he converted alien debris into usable power cells. Ramirez unearthed a crashed Vorten patrol drone, its remains a treasure trove of advanced materials. I can use this, Ethan said, his eyes lighting up as he examined the drone's energy core. With some adjustments, it might give us just enough juice to get out of here. But their activity did not go unnoticed. Vorten patrol ships began circling the skies above. Hawk's expertise in camouflage kept their position hidden, but the tension was palpable. Every moment felt borrowed, the oppressive weight of discovery hanging over them. Got incoming chatter, Hawk said, working a hacked Vorten comm device. They're scanning the area, but they haven't pinpointed us yet. Jack looked at Carter. Options. We can't outgun them, Carter said, but we might be able to trick them. If we can reroute their patrol data, we could lead them on a wild goose chase. Do it, Jack ordered. The plan was risky, relying on Hawk's ability to infiltrate Vorten systems. With Ethan's help, they sent out false signals, leading patrol ships away from their location. The ploy worked for now. As night fell, repairs on the Resolute continued under flickering lights. Ramirez kept watch, his sharp gaze scanning the horizon. Feels too quiet, he said. Quiet is good, Jack replied, though he didn't believe it himself. The quiet shattered with a deafening roar. A squad of Vorten soldiers descended, their hulking forms illuminated by plasma weapons. The team scrambled for cover, returning fire in bursts of controlled chaos. Ramirez took charge, leading a counteroffensive with precision. Keep moving. Don't let them pin you down. Ethan, crouched behind a boulder, worked feverishly to rig a makeshift EMP from the salvaged drone parts. Buy me 2 minutes, he shouted. Jack and Hawk provided cover fire, their shots forcing the Vortens to retreat momentarily. Ramirez, ever resourceful, rigged a trap with explosives scavenged from their supplies. When the Vortens advanced, the ground beneath them erupted in a fiery blast, scattering their ranks. EMP ready, Ethan yelled, activating the device. A surge of energy pulsed outward, disabling the Vorten soldiers' advanced systems. Their weapons fizzled, and their movement slowed, giving the team a decisive advantage. As the smoke cleared, Jack surveyed the battlefield. The team had won, but the cost was clear. Their position was compromised, and reinforcements were undoubtedly on the way. "We need to move," Jack said. "Hawk, how's the ship?" "Barely holding together," Hawk admitted. "But she'll fly." "Then we leave now," Jack ordered. The Resolute lifted off under fire, its patched systems groaning as it climbed into the atmosphere. Ethan's quick thinking had saved them, but the damage to the ship was extensive. They couldn't afford another encounter like this. In the quiet moments after their escape, the team regrouped in the ship's control room. Carter examined a data chip recovered from one of the Vorten soldiers. "This might be our break," he said, plugging it into their system. The chip contained detailed information about Vorten communication networks and patrol routes. More importantly, it revealed the location of a key outpost near the capital planet. "If we can get to this outpost," Carter explained, "we'll have a chance to intercept high-level transmissions. It might give us the edge we need to complete the mission." Jack nodded, his expression grim but determined. "Then that's our next target. We've come too far to turn back now." The Resolute limped through space, its battered hull a testament to the challenges they had overcome. The team had adapted and survived, but they all knew the hardest part was yet to come. The Vorten Empire had underestimated humanity, viewing them as primitive and inconsequential. But Earth's greatest strength wasn't its technology. It was its ability to innovate under pressure, to find solutions in the face of impossible odds. As the capital planet loomed closer, Jack addressed the team. "We've fought hard to get here, but this is just the beginning. Stay sharp, stay together, and remember why we're doing this." Each man nodded, their resolve unshaken despite the dangers ahead. The galaxy's most powerful empire had declared war on innocence, but Earth's answer was clear. Humanity would not bow, and justice would be served. The Resolute vanished into the void, leaving only the faintest trace of its passage. The team's mission wasn't just survival. It was a fight for humanity's place in the stars. The Vorten King's reign of terror was nearing its end, and the humans were coming for him. The capital planet of the Vorten Empire loomed ahead, a sprawling nexus of towering spires and swirling skies, its surface crawling with activity. The USS Resolute hovered in the shadow of a debris field, its battered systems barely holding together. Inside, the team gathered for their final briefing, tension thick in the air. "This is it," Jack said, his voice steady but charged with urgency. "We got one shot to get this right. Carter, walk us through the plan." Agent Carter stood at the center of the group, a holographic map of the Vorten capital rotating above his handheld console. "Our target is the central spire," he explained. "That's where the king's psychic amplifiers are housed. Without them, he can't maintain control over his forces." "What's the play?" Ramirez asked, loading his rifle with practiced ease. "We infiltrate under the guise of a captured patrol," Carter replied. "Hawk will pilot us in. Once inside, Ethan and I will disable their systems while Jack and Ramirez clear the way. From there, we confront the king." "Confront?" Ramirez scoffed. "You mean eliminate?" Carter nodded. "He's the keystone holding the empire together. Without him, their hierarchy collapses." Jack cut in. "Let's focus. This mission isn't about revenge. It's about justice. We're here to end the slaughter and send a message. Humanity doesn't stand by while innocents suffer." Hawk smirked from the pilot's chair. "No pressure, huh?" The Resolute approached the planet disguised as a damaged Vorten vessel. Hawk's deft maneuvers and Carter's hacked transponder codes carried them through the orbital blockade undetected. As the ship descended into the capital's atmosphere, its glowing skyline stretched endlessly below them, a hive of activity. "Docking port in sight," Hawk said, guiding the ship toward a maintenance bay near the central spire. "You're up, Carter." Carter activated a series of jamming signals to mask their presence. "This'll buy us some time, but we'll need to move fast." The team disembarked, their stolen Vorten uniforms concealing their identities. The spire's interior was a labyrinth of gleaming corridors and alien architecture, its walls humming with psychic energy. Every step forward felt like treading on enemy ground. Ethan worked quickly, planting electromagnetic disruptors along their path. These will shut down their local systems, he explained, but we'll still have to deal with any guards up close. It didn't take long for their cover to falter. A patrol of Vorten soldiers intercepted them, their towering forms bristling with weapons. The humans reacted instantly. Ramirez moved like a storm, his rifle barking as he laid down suppressive fire. Jack flanked the enemy, his precise shots taking down soldiers before they could regroup. Hawk, despite being out of the cockpit, proved equally dangerous with his sidearm, while Ethan provided tactical support, using his disruptors to disable the enemy's shields. Within moments, the hallway fell silent, the team victorious, but exposed. Alarms blared, and red lights pulsed along the walls. "We're compromised," Jack said. "Move." They pressed on, racing toward the amplifier chamber. The air grew heavy with psychic energy, an almost tangible force pressing against their minds. Carter gritted his teeth, his training in resisting alien influence barely holding. "They know we're here," Carter warned. "The king is trying to break us." "Then let's break him first," Jack said, leading the charge. They reached the amplifier chamber, a vast, circular room filled with towering crystalline structures. Energy pulsed between them, feeding into conduits that stretched upward toward the king's throne at the apex of the spire. Ethan got to work immediately, setting charges to disable the amplifiers. Ramirez and Hawk held the entrance, fending off waves of Vorten reinforcements. Jack and Carter moved toward the throne room, determined to confront the king. The ascent was grueling. The psychic pressure intensified with every step, forcing them to fight not just their enemies but their own fears and doubts. Jack pushed through, his will unyielding, while Carter's focus turned razor-sharp. At the top of the spire, the king awaited them. The Vorten ruler was massive, his psychic presence filling the chamber like a storm. He rose from his throne, his obsidian armor gleaming, and spoke in a voice that resonated within their minds. "You dare challenge me, humans," the king said, his tone a mix of disdain and curiosity. "Your kind is insignificant. What hope do you have against the might of the Vorten Empire?" Jack stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "We're here to end your reign. You've underestimated humanity's resolve, and that's your last mistake." The king laughed, a sound that shook the walls. "Foolish. I will show you the futility of resistance." The battle that followed was unlike any the humans had faced. The king wielded psychic energy with devastating precision, hurling them across the chamber and conjuring barriers to block their attacks. Jack and Carter fought back with everything they had, their determination driving them forward despite the overwhelming odds. Ethan's charges detonated below, disrupting the amplifiers. The psychic energy in the chamber flickered, weakening the king's power. Carter seized the opportunity, firing a precision shot that shattered the king's psychic barrier. Jack moved in for the final blow, his every step a defiance of the crushing energy still emanating from the king. "This is for the 50,000, he said, his voice a growl. With a final, powerful strike, he brought the king down. The room fell silent, the oppressive psychic force dissipating. Below, the Vorten forces faltered, their command structure collapsing without the king's influence. The team regrouped at the base of the spire, their mission complete but their bodies and minds exhausted. The Resolute awaited them, its engines humming faintly. As they ascended into space, the capital planet behind them plunged into chaos. The Empire's grip on the galaxy was shattered, its territories erupting in rebellion. Back aboard the ship, Jack addressed the team. "We've done what we came here to do. The galaxy knows now that Earth isn't afraid to fight for what's right." Ramirez smirked. "And we've shown them we're damn good at it, too." Carter leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "This is just the beginning. We've struck a blow, but rebuilding will take time. The galaxy isn't ready for us, but we're ready for it." Jack nodded. "One step at a time. For now, let's go home." The Resolute vanished into the void, carrying its battered but triumphant crew back to Earth. Humanity had faced the galaxy's most powerful empire and emerged victorious, proving that creativity, courage, and unity were the strongest weapons of all.